marathon in a second. However, we started off talking football and cup finals. It's that time of year. We're joined by Martin now. Good evening.
Evening.
You've just been telling us the boys were trying to guess when Moncton were last in a final. You were there.
Yeah, I was in the wrong net, unfortunately.
And, these boys have just been talking about other times that you've been in cup finals. You've been there and done that. Fraser, help them out a little bit.
Well, yeah, because funny enough, Luke Hayward put a post up last week on social media. 13 years it was to the day since Johnson beat the West Dragons. I know you played in that 3-2. It was actually a bit of a mental month for you, wasn't it? All in all, a couple of days later, you were as a goalkeeper scoring in a penalty shootout. I think against Penlan. I think
in semi-final.
Yeah, instead of Easter win, and a couple of weeks later, that win I'll never make sense of for Johnston, Morriston Olympic, and the West Wales Cup final. You must. I know you had a long career in Pembrokeshire football, a very good one as well. You must look back on those few weeks fondly, and looking on 13 years later, can you make any more sense of it than we can?
Well, not really. It all happened in a blur because we played the cup final, the senior cup final, on the Saturday against Dragons, and then it was the Tuesday night after we had to play. It was Morriston. We played at Stevenage.
The way round, was it? Yeah.
And then before we knew it, we were in the West Wales Cup final, and that came around really fast. And like you said, that final made no sense. 2-0 down at half time. And I think it was injury time that Millsy equalised.
That's right. Yeah,
having just been carried off.
Yeah, and then he scored the winner.
Stretched it off
from the equaliser, and then came back on to score the winner.
Incredible scenes.
That is fantastic. Well, when did you hang up your boots, Martin?
Oh, I've hung them up a number of times.
That tends to be.
I actually outplayed a couple of games this year for Branston to help out. My mate, good mate of mine, Adrian Reese, is the first team coach. So I said I'd help out up until Christmas, and then after that, it was just marathon training.
On that note, before we come on to the London Marathon, when you did, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, your initial retirement, or one of them, came after that COVID season. I think you were in goal for Hakin when I think Hakin were actually awarded the title on points average, weren't you? In the end, I know you took a break into that. Was that the turning point for you to get into running and to start competing, or is it something you'd already started doing by then?
No, I already started because I sort of finished a couple of years after I left Johnson and I went away to work. So I sort of stopped playing properly. So working away, I wanted something to do. So I got into running and did a couple of races and just carried on from there. And then I had the call from Scott Davis to come back and play for Hakin. So I went to Hakin and then I just carried on running after that then.
Sure. And what's led you to where you are now, mate? Was it competing in races or getting to long ones, or the enjoyment of it? Or was it, are you someone who you're running for time, you're running for placings and that sort of thing? What was it about the longer distance that appealed to you?
I think with everyone, you sort of start small. Like the first one is maybe your 10Ks and then you move up to half marathon. And I think with a lot of us who play sport, you're just competitive and you're always pushing yourself. So naturally, when I'd done a few of those two, it was moving on to from half marathon to marathon. I did an ultra marathon and I did a couple of triathlons. So it's just moving on gradually then.
And is London something you've done before?
No, and it's been on my bucket list for years.
You say you were very competitive, Mark, but it just dumbfounds me. You were a goalkeeper. How much running did you do as a goalkeeper? Not a lot of running between the sticks, not being disrespectful, but then to become a marathon runner from playing in goal, that's a big leap up. Did you miss a lot of the gym sessions and now you thought you'd better catch up?
It is a bit odd, but I was always the type of goalkeeper who wanted to prove I could be as fit as the outfield players.
Yeah.
Didn't want to at the likes of Nicky Woodrow have one over me and stuff like that.
Nicky was a very good middle distance runner back in his youth. So did you have competitive times against him in Herbranston training?
No, and since I've started running, his times no longer exist, and he won't do a race again.
There was no Strava in them days, mate, was there? No.
Yeah.
No. It's actually what Martin says about the competitive side. When I saw Martin on the Saturday half, and he actually helped me immensely because he was almost like pacemaker the first few miles. I tagged along on his shoulder until he let him disappear off into the distance, but he really upped my speed for those first few miles at least. But the real warrior I had that day, because I knew he was behind me, was Ormy coming up on my shoulder and overtaking me. I couldn't have handled that. So it was always the motivating factor that, I didn't want, Martin, a very good runner, I could accept. I don't want any Pembrokeshire footballers coming from, especially after what I've written over the years, actually overtaking me in the final. The same happened to Tenby 10K when I knew Ashley Bevan was behind me. It's actually a motivating factor to keep you going to the line. But on a serious note, Martin, I remember talking to you on the line that thing. You had very much a time in mind. As part of your preparation for London. For the marathon itself now, have you got a target time in mind? And also, are you wary of the fact that a lot of people say London is one where you don't go for a PB because it's so crowded, it can often slow you down? Is that going to be a factor as well?
It is going to be a factor. I have trained for 3 hours,
right?
But I have in the back of my mind got it's going to be very, very busy and having to weave through a lot of people. So we'll see how it goes on the day, and if it's not on, then I'll just try and enjoy it as much as I can.
How much preparation have you been putting in now, Martin? Are you laying off at the moment because it's only in a few days' time? Is it?
Yeah, so I've been doing this. No, 2 weeks.
2 weeks. 2 weeks. Okay.
Yeah. So I've been doing a 16-week plan.
Yeah.
And 5 days a week I've been running, but I've hit my peak now. I'm starting to taper down. So
yeah.
As someone that's done an ultra race before, this distance how long was the ultra? Because I know it varies from 25 plus to 50 to something stupid like over 100. Well, what was the ultra that you did?
I did an ultra marathon called Race to the Stones, and it was by Oxford to Swindon. It was 62 miles.
Wow. I know that one. A friend of mine did that one. So how does the preparation change for something like that, where there's very kind of luxurious stops, if you will, and it's there's a lot of, when my friend did it, maybe he's not as good. There's a lot of walk running, lots of banana stops, lots of rest stops. You're about to do a distance that's a third that. How's that changed in your mind and then preparing as a comparison?
So for the ultra, like you just said, you're not going to run 62 miles non-stop. So there is a bit of walking and aid stations. And for me, it was from just getting to the end. Whereas for London, I've got a time in mind. So I've got a time I'm sort of training for and putting myself under pressure to get. It's just a different type of training, I suppose.
Yeah. Do you know anyone else that's doing it, or have you got any advice from people that have done it before? What's the one thing in your back of mind that you're going to bring with you onto the streets
I've got a mate of mine, Mark Gelona. He's running it.
Another Herbie player.
Another Herbie player. Yeah, there's a couple of guys from Milford. Jonathan Crimmins, he's running it. So yeah, I've been asking everybody I know who's done it for advice, and I've been watching videos on YouTube advice, because it's the logistics of getting to the start line and things like that, with it being London and so busy.
Yeah.
I was going to come on to that. I've always wondered people who come down from Pembrokeshire, preparation wise, obviously not something you can nip up to in the morning. Would you be looking at, assuming staying as close as you can to the start line? How early will you go up to London to help it? Because you need to get that journey out your legs as well, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, we're going up on the Saturday morning, and then you've got to go to the expo to pick up your number and stuff like that. And then chill out for the rest of the day. We've got accommodation in North London, and there's a few of us going. My wife's family's all coming to cheer us on. So
excellent.
Nice. A real family affair. North London as well. What Premier League teams are up there?
Funny enough, Gordon, it's not far from Tottenham either.
I didn't even say that. No, you did.
And you've been obviously doing this 16-week plan that you mentioned. What's been the peak distance that you've done as part of that training? Because I often say, you don't want to do the full distance in training. Have you done that, knowing that you've got it in your legs already? Have you followed the plan religiously?
No, I followed the plan. The maximum distance I did was 22 miles, and I've done a couple of 20s, a couple of 18s. So
How have you felt after them, Matt? Okay, have the legs been not too heavy?
Yeah, the legs have been okay. There's been some runs during that have felt bad than others, but I think that's natural when you're doing so
Yeah.
much. So not everyone's going to feel great.
No.
What do you know about the terrain of the course, Mark, in terms of the inclines and so on and the hills? I think London is fairly flat. I think I'm right in thinking that. So how do you prepare for that around Pembrokeshire? Because I'm not talking about, nowhere near the levels you're at, for example, but I find it difficult when I'm preparing for even Llanelli half, which I knew was flat, or even a 10K around here. If it's a flat race, I find it difficult to prepare for. Where I live in St. David's, there's not places you can run without hills, so even, so living where you live and around here, do you find the same thing? Have you got particular routes that you think are better suited for London?
Not really. You can't get away
No.
from the hills, can you, around Pembrokeshire?
No.
I live in Langford West, so you like same as you said, and if anything, hopefully it benefits you having to train on the hills than you go into a flat race, I suppose.
Have you incorporated any races into your training program? I know Fraser's mentioned Llanelli there. Have you done anything in these last 16 weeks to be like, right, this is a training race, not a trying to get a PB race, or is it does the competitive side take over and think, no, I'm going to get another PB here?
No, the only one I've done, which luckily fell where it should have been on the plan, was Llanelli, as Fraser's just said. And that one went to plan, luckily. So, yeah. No, that's the only one I've
really,
done.
Matt. You left him behind.
I didn't expect to see it. He turned up on my shoulder in a bright pink T-shirt. And I went, what is this?
I wanted you to keep an eye on me, so I thought I'd wear the most brightest thing. Well, looking beyond, Matt, assume that London goes successfully for you, and I'm sure it will. You mentioned you've done a couple of triathlons there. And just I'm not saying it's a natural progression, but I know a lot of people do look to it who like their endurance. Is Ironman ever something you've considered?
I did Ironman in 2024.
Already? Okay.
I am an Ironman.
So I find that interesting because I've, as someone who's got into running myself, the triathlon side of thing, especially Ironman, I've always been reluctant to, because I really enjoy the running and I like the running, and I don't want to detract from that while I still feel like I can compete in running and do well, if that makes sense. And I feel that the swimming, I'm not a particularly strong swimmer or cyclist, so I'd have to put a heck of a lot into that, really, which would take a lot from my running training. And I've spoken to a couple of people who feel the same. Did you feel it? Were you quite seamless with it, though? Were you able to transition? Because your training plan when you're just running obviously completely changes, but when you're cycling and swimming as well. And then when you did that and completed Ironman, going back to running, did you find it difficult, the transitions at all?
I did, to be honest, because it's a different type. You've got to slow down your training from the paces that you used to be doing and running different heart zones and things like that. So you're retraining your body as such, and then you've got to incorporate the cycling training and the swimming training. And then, like you said, once you finish, to go back and just do running, then you've got to retrain back that speed back up. So yeah, it's difficult.
I'll rephrase that then. Once London's said and done, is Ironman something you go back to or do again?
No, my wife is listening to this phrase, and I can't afford a divorce, to be honest, mate.
I appreciate the honesty.
Yeah, that's my excuse too, but it's a genuine one.
So how many runs have you got left now in these next 2 weeks? Are you still out 5 days a week, or is it a proper relax and taper out 2-3 times a week?
No, yeah, it'll be, I think I got 4 this week, and then next week it'll just be 3, but only small stuff. Nothing big. No, I think the biggest run this week is 8 or 9 miles, and that's on Sunday. So,
nothing.
Yeah.
And then carb up for the big one, then, is it?
And carb up, then, yeah.
Your pasta and all that.
Yeah.
That's a good point, actually. How focused have you been on nutrition? Because I know people that go on these trainings for the 10Ks, half marathons. It's all about the distance. Have you taken the nutrition importantly as well?
I tried to, but it's really hard because you're doing so much. You just feel hungry all the time.
Yeah.
And you think, oh, I can have that bit of chocolate. I can have that. It doesn't matter. But yeah, I do try to.
I was actually going to come on to that because I think in the London Marathon, what time do you actually officially get underway, Matt? I know it'll be staggered.
I've had my time and I'm 9:45.
9:45, but you have to be at the start line, correct me if I'm wrong, significant time before that, don't you? Or
Yeah, you
down.
do. Yeah.
So what do you eat on the morning of that? Because you've probably got, I'm assuming you've got quite a period before you eat actual breakfast between that period and actually going off with a gun.
So yeah, I'm planning to have my normal breakfast of porridge and toast and stuff. And then I'll bring something to the start line as well while I'm sat there waiting to eat. I don't know, like a bagel or a sandwich or something like that.
So you bring food along the way. It sounds
Yeah.
cool. I've always wondered that with
same.
Ironman, of course. You know, somebody you got to be up for a morning, dragging your swim stuff down Tempe. What time do you have breakfast?
Forcing a banana down here at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Are you someone who eats during the race? Of interest, Mark? I know a lot of people do like to take food on board, or there are people supplying sweets and stuff on to the side. Are you someone who does that, or is it just a case of hydrating?
No, I do use energy gels. I'll take one every 5 or 6 miles.
Right.
Usually I look at what they're providing on that certain race. So for this one, I think it's Lucozade gels. So I've been training with them just to get used to taking them then, really.
Nice. The gels do not agree with me. Just to throw that out there.
You were the first to say that.
Martin, thank you so much for coming on and giving us your insight for the London Marathon training. There's so many people from Pembrokeshire and beyond that are going to be taking part. You're going to see familiar faces. You named a few that you've played with already. Enjoy the experience. The people I know have all enjoyed the experience of being there. So be sure to give yourself 30 seconds every now and then just to appreciate what you're doing and the company you're keeping in. And yeah, have a wonderful time whilst you're running around there and enjoy that chocolate bar at the end.
Yeah, all the best, Mark. Good luck with that.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, man. I'll see you on a start line somewhere soon, I'm sure. Not the finish line. You'll be gone by then, but I'll see you on the start line.
Excellent. Martin Langford, thank you so much for joining us. We've got a little bit more time left in just a moment. You've already mentioned you stayed up into those wee hours watching some golf, Fraser. We've got KT next door. I feel like we need to get him in here to give his view.
Bring him in. He knows what he's talking about.
Let's get one of them.
While the rest of us just hide behind the sofa shouting at Miss Pets. Yeah.
There you go. We'll take a moment. We'll get the train conductor of the Mood Train in here a little bit earlier to talk golf with us. It's 7:45. Thank you so much, Martin.
Oh, he's gone.
Pure West Sportschau, sponsored by